Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. My name is Kelly and my co-host is Mr. James.
Peace out, my friend. I'm in the corner studio watching. Peace out sign.
The peace out sign. Right on, right on. So how's it going today? Everything good?
Everything's good. I had to go clean the walks and driveway this morning, but because of our handy snow Joe, it wasn't as long as it usually takes. I like that thing, man.
That is an unpaid promo for Snow Joe.
Yeah, and if they want to give us money and more Snow Joes to do it, I would, because it's a handy
We would
thing.
be happy to take Snow Joe's money and have this be a paid promotion.
Or additional Snow Joes.
Whatever works. I like the Snow Joe myself as well. If you don't know what a Snow Joe is, it's an electric shovel that's like a mini snow blower. It is cool. It makes shoveling the snow fun.
It can be. A lot more than using a damn shovel, for sure.
That's true. I thought it was fun. And for somebody that has back issues, it was right up my alley. So, yeah, shout out to Snow Joe. Anytime you want to pay us to talk about you, just let us know. We'll do it.
Oh, yeah. No problem.
Not a
We'll
problem.
work you right in. Right between Chevy Corvette and
Nike.
Okay, there you go.
Not even a problem.
We're throwing them out there. Nike, Chevy Corvette, and Snow Joe.
Why not?
If you guys are listening.
Since we're talking about listening, today we have a guest. And her thing is listening because she actually is an author who collects ghost stories, true ghost stories. So check this out. This is her thing. She collects these true crime stories that turn into hauntings.
Oh, that's kind of both of our alleys. I can't even speak. I'm the haunting and you're the true crime.
Yep. So she's written several books, but her latest one is called Grave Deeds, Dead Plots. Her name is Sylvia Shults, and she's going to come on today and just tell us a bunch of true crime haunting ghost stories. So break out the popcorn and the cocoa because it's story time.
Ooh, yep. Turn on the video of a fireplace.
Yep, it is definitely story time. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Should we just do it then?
Yeah, let's get right to it.
Well,
welcome to the podcast. Welcome to That's Some Crazy Shit. Author Sylvia Shults. Sylvia, thank you so much for coming on That's Some Crazy Shit. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, who wouldn't want to be on a show called That's Some Crazy Shit? That's brilliant.
It does have a special appeal to it.
Well, yes. It does flow trippingly off the tongue.
I like that.
It really does. And so we're excited to have you come on and talk about these two books that you wrote, and they're ghost stories and they're true ghost stories. And we love a good ghost story.
Oh, excellent. I find that you just can't go wrong with a good ghost story. And I enjoy sharing the true ghost stories because of the history involved. I really believe that you can't understand the ghost stories of a place without knowing the history behind it, because that's why we have the stories, is because of these lived experiences. People lived through these things and it ended up as ghost stories, but it started off as history.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us the name of the first book.
Okay, so my latest book, number 8, actually, is called Grave Deeds and Dead Plots. So a while ago, my publisher contacted me and wanted me to write a book of true crime. Now, when he did this several years ago, it was still the fashion for a true crime writer to write a book on one case. And I didn't think I had the chops for that at that point. But over the years, it has become more commonplace. It's become the fad now in true crime for an author to collect several different stories around a central theme. And I noticed that And I pitched that idea to my publisher. I said, how about if I do a book of true crime stories that have resulted in hauntings too? And he just loved the idea. So that's how Grave Deeds and Dead Plots was born. And actually, I have enough material for like 5 books coming up. It's going to be great. Mm-hmm.
So, Sylvia, how did you get started with the research on these? Or did you have a place you went to as a resource, as a seminary, library, or?
I work at a library. It's brilliant. I'm surrounded by books and they pay me to be there. It's awesome. So yeah, I read voraciously. And when I come across a story that has potential, I pay attention to it. And I'm more of a paranormal reporter than anything else. I take these stories and of course rewrite them in my own voice. And that's how I get the material for my books. I share this material with my readers. I sometimes go out and get the material and collect it myself, have my own experiences. I've actually been to the Villisca Axe Murder House several times and had my own experiences there. And those experiences have been incorporated into the Villisca story in Grave Deeds and Dead Plots.
So can you share with us a couple of stories from the book?
Oh, absolutely. So one of my favorite stories is the story of Celia Rose. Now, Celia Rose lived in Pleasant Valley, Ohio in 1896. And with a name like Celia Rose, living in a place called Pleasant Valley, you get this mental image of a young lady with perhaps long blonde curls whose greatest joy in life is to sit and work on her embroidery. You would be wrong. Celia Rose was a dumpy, overweight farm girl. She was in her early 20s when she got a life-threatening crush on the boy next door, a farm kid named Guy Berry. He was 17. And she was absolutely convinced that they were going to run off and get married. So she hung around the Berry farm, kind of making a nuisance of herself. And Guy's father was not really happy about this. So he went to Celia's father and said, look, you've got to rein your daughter in. She's kind of bugging me and bugging my son. And so Celia got a talking to, and she was not happy about this. She was not happy about being told that she couldn't moon around the object of her affections. So she decided to take matters into her own hands, and she poisoned her entire family. Her family liked to have cottage cheese for breakfast. So she took the pepper box, the black pepper box that they used to put black pepper on their cottage cheese, and she filled it with arsenic. And she didn't have any, of course, so she didn't get sick, but her father and brother, one of them died that day, the other was dead within the week, and her mother was getting better and realized she confronted Celia with what she had done, and Celia said, oh, okay, you know what, if we move away from here like my mother suggests, I won't be around Guy anymore. So she fixed her mother a bowl of bread and milk for breakfast the next day and topped it off with another dose of Rough on Rats.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
killed off her mother too. She was arrested, of course. She had put the rest of the cottage cheese out in the yard, and the chickens ate it, and the chickens all died. So yeah, the neighbors were all like, let's see. Celia's entire family is dead, along with all her chickens, but Celia's fine. I wonder what's going on. So yeah, she was arrested and tried for the murder of her father first, and she was found guilty, or she was found rather not guilty by reason of insanity. She was committed to an insane asylum where she lived the rest of her life. She was not let out after that. And the house where she grew up still stands in Ohio. And the lore is that on moonlit nights, particularly during the harvest season for some reason, you can see Celia Rose's ghost standing at the window, perhaps hoping for another glimpse of Guy plowing the fields with his shirt off.
With a name like Guy, I can just picture it.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
Oh, I love that story.
That is a great story.
There's another story in the book called Jack Osteen's Poetic Justice. There was the haunting outside the Merchants Exchange building in Philadelphia is a very strange one. There is a very tall, properly dressed, very rich-looking ghost that shows up, and he'll show up for just a few moments, and he'll look around because you'll also hear, when you see this ghost, you'll also hear horses' hoofs coming at a quick clip towards the ghost, and the ghost will look around and vanish. Now, the reason this happened is because there was a wealthy businessman named Harold Thorne who lived in Philadelphia in the 1830s. Nobody really liked this guy. He was a jerk and he was a bully. He made his money kind of unscrupulously. So he was not a very well-liked character, but he was rich, so people put up with him. He would go to the Merchants Exchange, of course, to conduct his business affairs. There was also someone who hung around the Merchants Exchange building, a blind beggar named Jack Osteen. Now, Osteen was a very compassionate guy. People liked him. People tried to find odd jobs that he could do, even though he was blind. And Jack loved horses. He would pet them when he had a few moments. And if he had a spare couple of pennies, he would buy apples to give to his equine friends. So people liked Jack. He was a decent stand-up guy. So it happened that in 1834, Harold Thorne was at the Exchange building, and his horse was particularly fond of Jack. Jack was one of the few people that showed this horse kindness. I mean, belonging to a master named like Harold Thorne can't have been a very good life for this horse. But Jack loved it and petted its nose and fed it apples. So one day in 1834, Harold Thorne was at the building and his business did not go well. He lost hundreds and hundreds of dollars during this particular day at the stock exchange. So he was in a really ill temper when he came out. He kind of bumped into Jack Osteen, and Jack, he's blind. I mean, he can't see to move out of the way, and he's trying to scramble out of the way, and he stepped on Harold Thorne's shoes. And that sent Thorne over the edge. He started beating Jack with his cane, and the cane handle flashed up and down as Thorne just beat the crap out of Jack, and pretty soon its silver head was slicked with blood, and Jack was lying motionless on the sidewalk, and he was dead. Thorne had beaten him to death. And the crowd, it happened so quickly that the crowd just didn't have any time to react. But suddenly, Harold Thorne's horse screamed, reared up, and brought its front hooves crashing down on Harold Thorne's head, knocked him out flat, and he died several hours later. He never regained consciousness. Wow. So that is the situation that has led to this very strange little haunting outside the Merchants Exchange building in Philadelphia. Harold Thorne is still there. Jack Osteen has gone to his reward, apparently, but Thorne is still there, and he's still living in terror of this horse that took revenge for his friend.
You know, so you're an excellent storyteller. I'm just like hanging on every word.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love telling these stories. I love writing them. I love telling them. Thank you.
And so when you're gathering the information, I mean, how do you decide what stories go in the book?
Well, it has to be interesting. It has to keep my attention. If it keeps my attention, I am pretty sure it will keep my readers' attention. And for these stories, I'm just on the hunt for any story that starts in true crime and ends in a haunting. So I've been collecting them. So there are many more books in the series to come. One is going to be completely on gangsters, which I'm very happy about.
Oh, you said the secret words.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's going to be.
Do you
gangsters
have
from
any
Chicago?
gangster haunting stories?
Oh boy, yeah. Let's see. There is in Las Vegas. There's Bugsy Siegel. He still haunts the Flamingo in Las Vegas. Bugsy was part of the Chicago racket, of course. He did some business in Miami, and he was into horse racing. He was in charge of the betting, and he was in charge of putting together the telegraph lines that went from the bookies in Las Vegas to the tracks in Miami. So the bookies would be doing their business in Vegas, and the tracks, I mean, they would get the information on which horse won and which came in second and all that from the tracks in Miami. So Bugsy was in charge of this. It was a big responsibility. So he ended up very, very rich from all of this. And he stopped on his way to Los Angeles. He also had a thing for the movies. He had a lot of movie star friends and whatnot. And on his way to Los Angeles to put this all into place, he stopped at a little town called Las Vegas and liked what he saw and decided to settle down. This was about the point in time, the early 1930s, when the Hoover Dam was being built. So you have hundreds upon hundreds of workmen working on the dam, and they go into this tiny little town of Las Vegas for recreation, for drinking and gambling and women. So Las Vegas was just starting to pick up steam then. So Bugsy Siegel was like, oh man, this is great. And he wants in. So he buys this casino, decides to name it the Flamingo because his girlfriend was known as the Flamingo because of her long, lovely legs. So he named it the Flamingo in her honor. And he poured millions of dollars into getting this casino ready to be open, and he borrowed money from the mob too. So 1 million turned into 2 million, and then 3, and then 5, until the mob was into this casino for like $6 million. And they're like, okay, Bugsy, we think you're skimming a little bit. Because on the day that it was supposed to open in early January, late December, it wasn't even done. So Bugsy's like, I don't care, we're going to open it anyway. So he invites all his movie star friends and everything. And that evening was one of the very few times in Las Vegas that it actually rained. It poured cats and dogs. Nobody really showed up to this grand opening of this huge, wonderful casino. And the casino actually lost $500,000 that first night.
Wow.
So yeah, it was an immense failure, and he closed it for the next 3 months, tried to get his feet underneath him, but it just didn't happen. So the mob was like, you know what? No. So Bugsy goes to his girlfriend's house in Beverly Hills, California for a vacation. And he's sitting in her living room reading the newspaper. And someone, we don't know who, it was obviously someone connected with the mob, but somebody was outside of the girlfriend's picture windows aiming a carbine into the window and got off 4 shots, and they hit Bugsy, took him out. One of them hit him in the back of the head, and the pressure caused by the wound to the back of his head shot his eyeball out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they found his eyeball across the room. Yeah. Gruesome. So yeah, that house in Beverly Hills is still haunted by the ghost of Bugsy Siegel. He'll be walking around the living room, and he'll look towards the bay windows real quick, and then he'll scurry out of the room. And I guess he thinks he'll save himself from the hitman that way. And the Flamingo casino is no longer standing, but at the site where it was, Bugsy Siegel still haunts that area. There is a statue to him, kind of a not really a gravestone, but a monument sort of thing to him, and it has his name and a picture of him in bronze. And there are begonias planted at the base of it. Now, begonias are tender flowers. They are very suited to an environment like Las Vegas, like the Strip in Las Vegas, where you have people dedicated to watering all this greenery and keeping it alive. And Las Vegas is a desert. It's nice and warm. Perfect situation for begonias. But the groundskeepers have to keep replacing the begonias, because every several weeks there will be a cold snap that will take the begonias out, just in that area, just around Bugsy's monument. There'll be a little bit of a cold snap, and those begonias are just done for. They get killed off by frost because of this cold area that just appears.
Sylvia, do you know if Bugsy liked begonias?
I don't know. I do know
maybe
that
he's freezing him because he doesn't like them.
I do know that from my research that he really, really loved the color mint green. His bathroom in his suite in the Flamingo was done up in mint green, including the bathroom. All the fixtures, the toilet and the tub and everything were in this really gross, disgusting, melt away mint green.
So, Sylvia, have you been on investigations? Is that correct?
I have, yes. I've been a paranormal investigator for over 10 years.
So can you tell us about some of the experiences you've had on investigating? I've gone on several, and I've had some wild experiences.
Awesome. Oh man, you'll have to tell me some stories later on. I am very lucky to live just a short drive away from the Peoria State Hospital, which is an abandoned mental asylum in Illinois. And you say haunted mental asylum, and your mind goes all American Horror Story on you. And you assume that there was pain and fear and abuse. And it is my privilege and my joy to tell people that was not the case at the Peoria State Hospital. This was a place where the patients were treated like family members. They were cared for. It was a place of refuge from the outside world that could be so noisy and so terrifying. So I have been to the Peoria State Hospital countless times. And since I've been there so many times, I have kind of made friends with a couple of the spirits there, particularly the spirit of a young man named Chris, who died in 1906 from tuberculosis. He was only in his early 20s. He was about 22 years old. And he has taken a shine to me, and he likes to hold my hand when I go into the basement of the Pollock Hospital, which is the tuberculosis ward. And he told me once through an interpreter, through a psychic medium. I don't see dead people. I don't hear them, unfortunately. But I was there several times with a psychic medium. And Chris told us that the staff at the asylum wanted to take care of their patients, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally too. So the asylum would have movies every Friday night and dances every Saturday night and ball games in the summer after church on Sunday afternoons. So Chris told us he could hear the music on Saturday nights coming from the other cottages, but he said we couldn't go and dance because we were in quarantine. I mean, he said, I miss dancing so much, and I miss the music so much. So the next time I went down there, I recorded a ragtime song. It was 1906. I figured he'd be familiar with ragtime. I recorded a ragtime song on my phone and I played it for him. And the medium was there again, and she said, he's doing something strange with his hands on his knees, and he's moving him back and forth. I said, oh, he's doing the Charleston. That's
He's
great.
dancing.
and when the song was over, he said, no one's ever done that for me before.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the next time I was there, I taught myself a ragtime dance, and I brought the music down, and we danced together. And there's a place in the song. It's called the Castle Dance. There's a place in the dance where the couple spins, and the woman spins backwards. And because I'm a dork and don't know what I'm doing, I spun forwards. And the medium called from across the room. She goes, he says you're trying to lead. I said, oh, cats. Oh, yes, I am. I'm so sorry.
Can you describe, Sylvia, when you say he's holding your hand, what does that feel like?
It feels like heat. It feels like the very first time it happened, I didn't know exactly what was going on. But the first time it happened, I was holding my voice recorder in my right hand, and my left hand was kind of down at my side. And I realized that the fingers of my left hand were getting warm for no reason at all that I could tell. I mean, we were in a basement, and it was the end of April, so it was really chilly. There was no reason for my fingers to be warm. And we had a different psychic medium in our group that time, and I said, come over here by me, there's something weird going on, I want you to tell me what's going on. And the warmth gradually increased. It never reached my palm, it was just on the ends of my fingers. It gradually increased, so much so that it felt like I was holding my fingers to the gently glowing coals of a campfire. It was that noticeable.
Wow.
And that distinct. So I said, what's going on? I described what was happening. And the medium said, yeah, someone's holding your hand. So that has been Chris's MO ever since then. I'll hold my hand out and he'll hold my hand. And this most recent time when I was with the different psychic medium, I told her, I said, I felt heat on both the front, both the top and bottom of my hand. I was holding on my hand, palm up. I guess it was palm down. And I said, I can feel heat on my palm and the top of my hand. And she said, well, yeah, that's because he's holding your hand in both of his.
Wow.
I said, okay, that's great. And then she kind of laughed, and he said, why wouldn't I want to hold your hand? You're a beautiful woman. So I said, oh, he is definitely a flirt. Oh my gosh. So the first time I was down with a psychic medium where I could actually I could actually talk to Chris, we were there with a group of other investigators. So I was sitting down in a chair. Diane, the medium, was sitting in a chair to my right, and the chair to my left was empty, and I invited Chris to sit down on the chair to my left. So he apparently did, and we were having this conversation, and I was told that I remind him of his sister. So he loves me very much because I remind him of a family member. And another investigator, another female investigator, came into that area of the basement, and she went to sit down in the chair next to me, and I said, oh no, there's somebody sitting there already. And she gave me this weird look and got up, and Diane started busting a gut laughing, and she goes, he said, you didn't have to tell her that.
But that was nice of you. That was.
Oh yeah. So
it's refreshing to hear a story where it's so positive when, a lot of these stories we hear are they're terrifying.
But you know what? These are people. These are people just like us. They just happen to live in an earlier time period. And that's what weirds me out when I hear stories about, oh, my grandfather came back and stood at the foot of my bed or sat with me while I was falling asleep or whatever. These are people that loved you in life. Why wouldn't they love you after death?
True.
Good one.
Yeah. And most of the spirits I encounter, I try to remind myself of that. And I've been doing this for so long that I've gotten used to just reminding myself, these were people just like me. They had the same likes and dislikes. I mean, not in the details, but, maybe somebody liked a fresh apple instead of a chocolate chip cookie. Maybe they preferred E11 on their hamburger instead of ketchup and mustard. It doesn't matter, but they were people just like you and me.
So true, so true. So, Sylvia, if somebody was interested in getting a copy of the book, Grave Deeds and Dead Plots, where would they get it?
Well, I have a website set up called sylviashults.wordpress.com, and the last name is spelled Shults. So if someone were to go to sylviashults.wordpress.com, they would find at the top of the page a link called Paranormal Nonfiction, and that page will bring you to the Amazon links for my books. I also encourage people to go to a lovely little website called bookshop.org. And when you order a book on bookshop.org, a part of your price of the book goes into a fund that helps out independent bookstores.
Oh, I like
So
that.
I'm always eager. I mean, Amazon doesn't need any help.
Yeah, no kidding.
Amazon's big enough as it is. But if you order a copy of Grave Deeds and Dead Plots or Days of the Dead or any of my other books from bookshop.org, then you're not only helping out an independent author, you're also helping out independent bookstores, which I think is very nice.
Agreed. Sylvia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing all those stories. I think classify as crazy shit.
Crazy shit. Well, I was absolutely delighted to be invited on. I have had such a great time talking to you. Thank you so much.
After 8 books, that's nuts. 8 books. But you know what's cool is, we talked about their true crime that results in a haunting. So it's like that energy we talk about, that residual energy that's always seems to be left behind after a traumatic, incident.
Kind of like
Murder.
the whole grudge thing, right? Did you ever see The Grudge?
I know. If you know, I don't watch movies. Okay, what's The Grudge?
Oh my God. Okay. So The Grudge is a movie about where there's a terrible crime that happens. It's a Japanese curse. So a terrible crime happens, like a murder happens. And that place is now cursed. And anybody who goes into that house has the possibility of taking that spirit with them because that spirit needs revenge. It's called The Grudge. Kind of like that. That energy is there. That residual energy from whatever horrific event happened.
That's true.
So I just thought,
now that you said that horrific event, just real quickly, can you ever remember there being a ghost story where there was a happy event that was always repeated, like a wedding or birthday party that was so cool that the celebration lasts into eternity?
not unless everybody died at the birthday party. I mean,
I know,
isn't that how that would have to go down, right?
But that's what I'm saying. How can we can't have a nice haunting, man? Like,
yeah, we don't have. Yeah,
die.
There are not nice hauntings, but yeah, Sylvia was saying that she's got more books coming. She's still collecting stories. She even did. She even was featured on Sci-Fi's Ghost Hunters,
which I watched both of those, and those are both cool. So Sci-Fi and Ghost Hunters, if you're listening, Kelly
again,
and I already.
Happy to get paid for talking about you at any time. we do not mind. It is something we are happy to help in the spreading of your platform. Right?
And in spreading yours, spreading ours.
That's right. Anyway, if you're interested in learning more about Sylvia's books, all of her books are available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. She also has a podcast. Just one more plug for her. She has a podcast, a paranormal podcast called Lights Out.
That sounds cool too. You know, I'm gonna have to listen to. I have so many podcasts of former guests that I need to listen to. It's scary.
Yep. So there's a lot to listen to. There's a lot to read. And that is it for our guest. What are we doing for random bullshit, my friend?
Random bullshit.
Random.
All right.
Bullshit.
So we don't really talk about politics. We try to avoid it, but I have to talk about this guy, this Santos dude from New York.
By the time this airs, hopefully this is going to be old news.
Right, but it probably won't. But I think the point I'm trying to make now is, when did it become so normalized that lying is just acceptable?
Oh my God, James, since the beginning of politics. Politicians have been lying forever.
No, just not politics. I think even trickling down all the way through society. I mean, when we were little kids,
a lot of things that we learned in our history, we are now coming to find out are lies.
No, that is true.
So, forever, my friend, you've been lied to pretty much all your life.
I don't lie, though.
I didn't say you lied. I said you've been lied to.
No, that is true. I have been lied to quite a bit.
You've been lied to pretty much since you were a little kid. And some of the things that you were lied to, unfortunately, your parents told you, because people say that's trauma. So if somebody told you that you weren't good enough, or you weren't this, or you weren't that, you were being lied to. So, James, pretty much all your life, my friend. People have always lied since the beginning of time. Probably even lied about when time began.
Yeah. That took like a downturn quickly.
I'm the realist.
God, no shit, man.
Hey, I call them as I see them. You've been lied to, my friend. You've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked.
Well, now I'm traumatized by the fact I've been lied to all this time.
You've been being lied to.
How old were you? How many years old were you when you found out that you'd been lied to? 56.
Yep. Now. So, hey,
now.
It's okay. It's all right, though. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry to burst that bubble. But yeah, to answer your question, forever.
All right. So next podcast, notice, listeners, I will be much more jaded now.
Hey, I'm not jaded. I'm just saying forever. You know,
I'm going to be jaded, not you.
Oh, well,
I'm being traumatized and jaded now. Fuck you people. Fuck everybody. Yeah.
But there's no need. That's there's no need for all. That's like exhausting.
Yeah, that is. That's hard.
That's like exhausting. So now I'm just tired. I'm just tired I'm tired from watching you make the ugly.
I know that ugly face made my face tired.
Fucking exhausting. So while James is recuperating, I will tell y'all, you can go to any of our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and even YouTube, and check us out. We have more guests coming for next week. James, I say we wrap it up, dude. You're not doing well.
Well, I was doing well until I found out I was being lied to.
Well, I think you might need to go figure out a way to cope.
God, man. Jesus, people. See, we can get hardcore here, people. It's not all fluff.
Well, it's on you, buddy.
All right, so we just wrap it up there.
Yeah, wrap it up.
All right, until next time, people, keep your minds open.